A new headline says several New York City election sites had no Republican ballots during last week's primary. This article at Zero Hedge cites a report from the New York Post about last week's primary election in New York City, which frustrated many voters. They say last week's primary voting was a complete debacle as the city's Board of Elections botched everything from polling locations opening late because of lost keys to missing equipment to unannounced relocations of voting sites, to a lack of Republican ballots across at least 3 election sites. Quote, "We showed up to the poll site in Brooklyn. We showed up at 5 a.m. and there was no key," Spencer Mestel, a freelance writer, told the New York Post on Tuesday afternoon, adding that he saw poll workers turn away an elderly woman with a walker because they couldn't get in. Quote, "We showed up to the poll site in Brooklyn. We showed up at 5 a.m. and there was no key," Spencer Mestel, a freelance writer, told the New York Post on Tuesday afternoon, adding that he saw poll workers turn away an elderly woman with a walker because they couldn't get in. Quote, "The police officer on site didn't have a key. The Board of Elections didn't give the site coordinator a key. I watched her call the Board of Election multiple times, but no one helped us," added the journalist, who has served as a New York City election worker for the past decade. The building was eventually unlocked at 7:30 a.m. by the building superintendent, more than 90 minutes after voters should have been able to start casting ballots. Meanwhile, the Board of Elections failed to deliver equipment to one South Brooklyn location. Here's a tweet posted on June 28th that says, "It's 6:30 a.m. on Election Day, and my poll site in Red Hook is not open because Board of Elections New York City has not brought them equipment, and they don't know how long it will be. Voters are getting turned away." At another polling location in Crown Heights, New Yorkers weren't able to vote before work because of a technical emergency, according to a photo shared on Twitter by activist and writer Stephen Laurie. Here's another tweet from June 28th that says, "45 minutes after polls open, this is what's outside where I'm supposed to vote." He includes a photo of this cardboard sign that says, "Technical emergency, exclamation point. PS22 voting will open as soon as possible. We apologize for the inconvenience." Also disturbing, polling locations had been changed without the Board of Elections informing anyone. Here's another tweet from June 28th that says, "Thanks, Board of Elections New York City, for changing my polling place without notifying me. Turnout was already going to be great today." The Board of Elections response? They claimed that Election Day had gone very smoothly and voters had been notified of site changes. Quote, "If a human error occurs, it's regretful, and in large measure, we correct it immediately," said Board of Elections Deputy Executive Director Vinny Ignazio. "All told, we'll run 8 elections this year, and this primary election has run very smoothly." Speaking of human error, this article adds that at least 3 New York City election sites told voters that they had no Republican ballots, according to the Post. One voter, Ed Gavin, 62 years old, arrived at his Bronx polling site in Spuyten Duyvil around 8:15 a.m. to cast his vote for GOP gubernatorial candidate Rob Astorino, but after checking with a poll worker, he was handed a Democrat ballot instead, he said. Quote, "My party never came up. My political preferences were never discussed. I opened the sleeve and I saw the names of Tom Suozzi, Kathy Hochul, and Jermaine Williams. These were all Democrats for governor," said Gavin, a retired Department of Correction deputy warden. "I flipped it over because I thought maybe the Republicans were on the back, but there were no Republicans. They told me, 'We don't have any Republican ballots,'" he added. "I said to the gentleman, 'That is very concerning.'" The New York Post verified the lack of Republican ballots at the polling site Gavin visited. Quote, "We couldn't find the ballots earlier, but we have them now," said a poll worker. Gavin was angry. Another quote says, "This is the most important gubernatorial election of my lifetime because crime is on the ballot, bail reform is on the ballot, criminal justice is on the ballot," he said, adding, "Former Governor Andrew Cuomo essentially ruined this state. With the state of the city right now, we need a Republican in power." After he reported the problem to the Board of Elections, a representative said they would correct it immediately. One Republican strategist says she had the same thing happen in Bushwick, Brooklyn around 11 a.m. Quote, "I was handed a Democrat ballot, and I realized when I opened the folder and I saw Kathy Hochul's name," adding that she told the poll worker, "I'm not a Democrat, I'm a Republican," to which the poll worker replied, "We don't have any Republican ballots." After they went back and looked, workers found a stack of Republican ballots, quote, "shrink-wrapped under a bunch of other things," after which she was able to cast her vote. The list goes on. Another example from the New York Post. Harlem resident Eric Larson, a registered Republican, told the Post an election worker provided him with a Democrat primary ballot before falsely insisting a Republican primary wasn't being held Tuesday. A different staffer then apologized, acknowledged the existence of the GOP primary, and scrambled to find a Republican ballot in a cabinet. "I know that Central Harlem is predominantly Democratic, but I found it hard to believe that a polling location, even in a mostly Democrat location, wouldn't have enough Republican ballots by the middle of the day on primary day," said Larson, who works in finance. "I did eventually get one, but they gave me a hard time." In short, levels of human error are once again off the charts. Please leave a comment and tell me what you think about this latest update. If you could give this video a thumbs up, remember to click the like button, that's greatly appreciated, and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. As usual, thank you very much everyone who has been supporting this channel with your donations over at Patreon or PayPal, and with your super chats as well. That's greatly appreciated. Even just a few dollars makes a huge difference and helps me keep talking about these important issues. You can find either link down in the video description where you can support this channel directly, patreon.com/realityreader or paypal.me/realityreader. I will follow up soon. Thanks again.